Why do we exist? I was to give a seminar and I thought this may be a good first sentence to start the seminar. It's about empowerment and it's about how the organization can function well. But the idea is also applicable for each individual's life. And if we can answer to the question of how we function, work in a company or organization, and at the same time, if we can answer the same question to each individual, how I or you function to work or live, and if there's a common message, common process between those two, we have alignment of how we work, it could be relationship, how we relate to each other, and how I live. So there's a common way of looking at the situation, sort of like killing two birds or maybe many birds in one idea. So again, why do I exist or do you exist in the company or as each individual? The concept is the same I developed almost 40 years ago when I was working in the company. So let me start with that one. I call the idea as mini company. And I wrote a book about it, but just briefly, before getting to that point, I was giving some instruction how to streamline the process of the work, eliminate waste. So that was the first book I wrote, and then the second book is related to this idea of why I exist. First was waste elimination, and that lead to this idea of mini company, glass wall management, the idea relating to how I exist. Actually, there's a third book which is talking more into the individual, so there's some flow of the logic. But straight to the point, how I exist. Let's say at work. The answer to me is maybe philosophical, but at the end it's simple. We all exist because of the power of universe. That's the best way I can think of to explain. Individually, I don't think it's easy to answer the question, but if we see that the reason why we are existing is because of the unknown power of the universe, that certain molecules combine together to form some form and be alive. As a consequence of that, we found us living. So why we exist? Because of the laws of the universe, which is unknown to us. But you can say it could be intelligence, infinite intelligence that brought us to live on this earth. So in the company, it's the same thing. So if that is the case, why we exist in the company, how do we bring out that source of energy not to be lost and be productive in what we do? So instead of making it too complex, the idea is for each to figure out why we exist, and that relate to the mission of why you want to exist in the company. So instead of being told what to do, you have to find out why we exist. I call it the mini company, the area of your responsibility, and you are the president. Not to be obedient to certain system or command structure. There may be those, but you want to find from your point of view, this is why I exist. Because if you can find that energy, the interest, and connect to whatever the force and the situation happening, then you have a heart into business, so to speak. Not just the brain part, the process, but the heart that you want to be feeling sincere, truthful to what you do. This is my mission. This is my mini company, mini universe I function. So what is the mini company? I call that each unit is a mini company, and you are the president. You have your mini company as individual or unit or department or at the top level or as bankers I call it. There are different levels, but no matter where you are, you have the environment you want to be the president, to have the mission and function so that you do your role within that mini universe, mini company setting. And the mini company setting is fairly simple. There's a customer-supplier relationship with others outside of the mini company. There's a connection, but within the mini company, there's a relationship to the people within that you're responsible. You may be the single person, or you may have 5 people, or 50 people, or 500 people as a structure of the mini company, and you are in charge of that mini universe. So you can figure out customer-supply relationship. Sometimes I include the banker and employee relationship to figure out that's the network. Who is my boss? Who is my customer? Who are the suppliers? Who are the employees? How I'm managing. So have that structure developed, or you have it already, but clarified like a chart. At the center is you and the customer, supplier, the banker, employee, the connection. And some are stronger relationship than others, but you have that basic structure, how the information flows, how the material flows, how the energy flows, so that this unit is vibrant. And you have to be customer oriented because that's the reason of your existence. And you have to work with the supplier because they need to be connected. So you connect to those supplier, customer, or banker, employee, because bankers may tell you what you should do from their hierarchical point of view. Their vision is different perhaps compared to yours. So you can receive information back and forth and relate to each other. So you may want to express your feeling in the way of how you're managing to your banker. So that's the banker relationship instead of being told what to do by the banker, because the banker's view is their world and your world will be more specific to your situation. You need to have some interrelationship as much as you have an interrelationship with the customer or suppliers or employees. With the employees, the same situation. You are the banker to your employees. So that's the structure of the mini company. And if you know that, and the importance of the customer orientation, and relate to each of them, because you have to communicate. So it's a reciprocal relationship of clearly identifying the key issues that you see is important in your mini company. So you develop the key performance indicators, how customers are satisfied or not, if there's a waste within, the cost issue, if there's a delivery issue to the customer or from the suppliers. So, and how you relate to your employees. Are they have good morale, responsibility? Is the environment safe? So I use the term QCDSM, quality, cost, QCD, delivery, safety, morale. You can put other elements like environment and so forth, so that you clarify the key performance indicators of how you run your business. So if you do that KPI with a plan of action and go through the process of plan, do, check, act to make sure that you get the plan executed and show the result and see the KPI, how it's changing over time. And you see that would connect to the customer satisfaction and therefore the mission of the organization to be accomplished. And if each mini company does that way, each individual in different parts of the organization running, and coordination is made clear by what I call glass wall management, then we see the whole organization possibly functioning better. Because if it's plan, do, check, act, process is clear, KPI is clear, customer supplier relationship is made clear, and the mission is clear for each of them. And if all of the mini company is representing that process of how you manage, it's made clear, and that is done at all the other parts of the mini companies in the organization structure with comprehensiveness, the glass wall management, then you find what are the key issues, the bottleneck, certain KPIs for the whole organization and relation to that to each individual, and then PDCA, monthly report, weekly report, annual report for each mini company, and clarification of that being done. Then the whole organization can be connected like a neural structure of the mini company with each other to help each other, so that the whole organization functions not too much of a hierarchical direction, but from self-organizing process that exists in each mini company. And as much as the organization would function like that, and it may be difficult to imagine how it could, but if you process this, as I mentioned, and have the heartbeat, so to speak, of reviewing and connecting to each other, problem exposed, plans developed, go through plan to check act process to make clear how the situation is moving, and the report to be produced so that you get learning at each level, but as a whole, that we can see the whole organization would function better. At the beginning, I said each individual can do the same. So as much as organization is done like that, each individual, let's say me, Kiyoshi Suzaki, I have me thinking of my reason of existence in relation to customer supply relationship I have, and have a KPI and go through PDCA the same way. Not in the organization, but me as an entity to self-manage. There's a relationship with customer, suppliers, bankers, similarly, like an organization, but clarifying that, understanding the key customers, key suppliers, bankers, employees. The bankers could be high up in the heaven, or the source of why we are here, that brought us here. What's the relationship? How do I satisfy that? be sincere, truthful, connect to the mission of who I am. I want to find what really is my mission, but again, also relating to customer and suppliers, and some sort of KPI like am I sincere and truthful? What about the situation at work, hobby, relationship, health, and finance? Those could be the 5 or 6 KPIs that you monitor in a regular fashion. Like I mentioned about the company, that you can do the same thing within yourself. So each of those elements, the KPI, may relate it to what I call mini-me. Within myself, there are various mini-me's who are interested in the relationship or the hobby or health issue, finance issue, or being truthful to yourself. So those are the mini-me's, and you can operate as if each are independent entity to monitor the KPI, plan to check act, and then consolidate to see how things are happening. I call that the life profile. You're reviewing of the life profile of who you are with the mini-me concept, and have that assembled, have a regular PDCA cycle every month, every 3 months, 6 months, every year to see how it's happening. The same concept applied to my case. So if I do that well, I may have a better life profile, life balance, priorities, KPIs, focus on key issues, reviewing with the annual report or monthly report, practicing plan to check act. And in that, what's the work element? And that is connected to the mini company element. And mini company element connected to the organization's setting of how it managed. So as much as mini-me to work, to organization, how it functions, or mini-me in terms of my health or finance, to focus what it is and how it relates to my PDCA and a review, but that may connect to certain involvement in the finance arena, how it's functioning in the society and how I relate, and expanding to that direction. Or it could be spiritual, if I may call it, be sincere and truthful, and how it related to the power of the universe, the God, if you call. So there are ways to look at this connection of one to the rest and expanding to the whole connection in the organization, me as an organization, but organization as the universe, how it's functioning in terms of the health of all, finance, economy, and the hobby, work element, relationship, and be truthful and sincere in what we do. You may pick and choose certain area you find it interesting and start to work on it. That's what I suggest. And this is just an idea, kind of like expanding your imagination of how you may exist, why, and how you may want to run your mini company as an individual, in the family, community, work, organization, and other dimensions. At the end, it's the relationship to the God, if that's the term you want to use, or the law of the universe, or the force of the universe. That's why I see us born out of the dust of the universe, and being reborn. Every morning you realize you're awake, you're alive. Wonderful. Do your best, put the intelligence, generate the wisdom and compassion to show the reason of existence and work in the company you work, relationship, hobby, health, finance, and connection to the universe. Just a thought.